In this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 5 best cards at each position in NBA 2K23 My Team in Season 7 with all the new cards being released in the game. Just want to tell you guys who I think are the top 5 cards at each position right now in my team, and you guys can let me know in the comment section down below what would you guys change about my top 5 at each spot. So looking at the first one here is going to be the top 5 best point guards in the game. At the number 1 spot, I do think is going to be Ben Simmons. Now, I think it's really close between number 1 and number 2, and it really just comes down to preference, but for me personally, I think Ben's defense and size really does make him the best point guard. Being 6'11" with a 7-foot wingspan, his defense is still like pretty much no other point guard just because of his animations, his defensive stats, and his badges. His tendencies are also very solid. His jump shot's not the greatest, and that's probably one of the bigger flaws I will say with Ben Simmons, is his jump shot is still very baited and a little bit slow, but he does have the tray escape, and I still think this card has some of the best slashing animations and some of the best point guard dunk animations in the game. So Ben Simmons, I think, is the best point guard right now on my team, but at the number 2 spot, like I said, I think is really close between Nikola Jokic and Ben Simmons, and I think it really comes down to what you want at the point guard position. If you're looking for more of an offensive card, I think you go for Jokic. He's 6'11" with a 7'3" wingspan, just like Ben Simmons. You know, they're going to be very similar size-wise. Jokic does have the way better jump shot with the Eric Paschall base, the Oscar Robertson upper on very quick timing is easily a better jump shot than what Ben Simmons has, and he also moves a little bit smoother, you know, with the ball in his hands. So if you're looking for more of a playmaker, a guy that can score the ball and run your offense at point guard, then I do think you go for Jokic. But in my opinion, Ben Simmons' size, his defense, his slashing ability, I do think makes him the best point guard, but I think it's really close between Jokic and Ben Simmons, and really does come down to preference. But at the number 3 spot, I still think you got to give it to Luka because of his offense. He's still one of the best offensive cards in the game, especially at point guard. Like, I would say he's easily the best offensive point guard, being 6'7" with a 6'8" wingspan. His jump shot is one of the best point guard releases in the game, with the KPJ base, the Rudy Gay upper on very quick timing is such a fast and easy jump shot to time. And then he's also got the tray fade, and he's got the tray dribble sig. So if you can move really well, with the tray dribble sigs and really take advantage of that tray fade, I think this card can be so dominant on offense, and I think that makes Luka Doncic all around the 3rd best point guard in the game. At the number 4 spot, though, is actually going to be one of the new point guards, and that's going to be Invincible Magic. I think he's still really good because he's an Invincible. Is he as overpowered as he probably should be? I would say no, because he's going to have 55 Hall of Fame badges. He's 6'9" at point guard, 7-foot wingspan. He's going to have 99 in pretty much every single category. Like, does he have 99 in every single category? I think he actually does. Yeah, Magic, and am I missing a 98 somewhere? Unless I'm blind, I think he literally has 99 in every single category. He's going to have almost every single badge in the game on Hall of Fame. So the card looks on paper to be perfect. His tendencies are also super amazing for defense, with a 97 on-ball steal, 85 contest shot, 85 block shot. And then you look at his animations, and this is where he doesn't, you know, stack up against a Jokic or Luka, you know, with his jump shot. He's going to be very similar to a Ben Simmons card. I think he's just Ben Simmons, but with a little bit worse defense, because Ben still got better size, you know, a little bit taller and a better player model. So I think he's Ben Simmons with maybe even worse of a jump shot, because I think Ben Simmons' release on very quick timing is a little bit better than Magic's, and also sigs-wise, I think that's probably where Magic does move slightly better, because in transition, Magic has that Dame behind the back, but for whatever reason, his behind the back with the Dame is so overpowered in transition and just in general. So I think he's a really good point guard. Like, I think they're all super close. You know, Luka, Nikola Jokic, Ben Simmons, Magic. I don't think there's a huge gap between a Magic and a Ben, but I would say Magic Johnson is just a worse version of Ben Simmons. But at the number 5 spot, I think it really just comes down to the two point guards that are both going to be great on defense. One being Ron Artest and one being the hero MJ, and I think it's a really close debate, man. I'm not really sure who to go with. I think from what I've used personally, I liked Ron Artest more in game because of his defense, and I'm saying it's really close. Like, I'm not saying MJ's way worse than Ron Artest and Ron's a lot better. I'm saying it's really close at point guard, but I think I would slightly take Ron Artest over MJ because of the defense he brings to the table. Perfect defensive stats and badges, pretty much. His tendencies are basically perfect, you know, 98 on-ball steal, 85 contest shot, 85 block shot. His jump shot super good as well with the Marco Fultz base, the Rudy Gay up around, very quick timing. He's got the Trey fade. His SIGs are elite. Like, I think it's really close between Ron Artest and MJ for the number 5 spot. But in my opinion, guys, these are going to be the top 5 best point guards right now in Season 7. Now, going over to the top 5 best shooting guards at the number 1 spot, in my opinion, is going to be very obvious. And that's going to be the invincible Tracy McGrady, one of the best cards in the game, including all positions. But I mean, the fact that he's 6'8" at the 2, 7'2" wingspan, he's going to be an invincible card. So 55 Hall of Fame badges. We know his stats are going to be perfect pretty much. Maybe a couple 98s in there, like 98 interior defense and 97 strength. But basically everything's going to be at a 99. His tendencies, I'm surprised, aren't like maxed out or higher. They're a little bit low for an invincible card, but then his jump shot is going to be probably the best jump shot in the game with the KPJ base and the Oscar Robertson upper on very quick timing. He's got the normal fade. His SIGs are so amazing. Like, this card all around is one of the best cards in the game, and I think the best shooting guard right now in my team. But at the number 2 spot, I do have the hero Tim Thomas. I think because of his size at the shooting guard spot, I do like him a little bit more than Terry Dischinger, who is going to come in at the number 3 spot. Terry does have, decent size for shooting guard, but Tim Thomas's player model, he's taller, he's got more of a wingspan, I think just really makes a big difference over Terry. And I feel like he's also a much better defender, but both are going to be very similar, offensively. Tim Thomas does have the LaMelo Ball base, the Trae Young upper on very quick timing. He's got the Steve Francis size up, the Trae escape. So I do think he's got slightly better dribble SIGs than Terry Dischinger, and also his defensive tendencies are like really good for an offensive card. Because if we look at Terry, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he has great there's solid defensive tendencies. His jump shot's still really good. The KPJ base, the Carmelo Anthony upper on quick timing is still a really quick jump shot, and then he's got the Steve Francis size up and the Curry escape. So it really comes down to, do you prefer the Curry escape? Do you prefer the Trae escape? But I think Tim Thomas is a decent amount better defensively, and I think they're about the same offensively. So very close between Tim Thomas and Terry Dischinger, but I do think Tim Thomas is the second best shooting guard in the game, and Terry Dischinger is the third best. Now at the number 4 spot, I think there's a couple different guys you can go to. I'm not going to put 2 T-Max in this top 5 since we're only going over to, top 5s. I don't want to have 2 of the same player, in a top 5. So I would put Dark Matter, the Radiant T-Mac at the number 4 spot if you were to like really go off the top 5 shooting guards, but I don't want to have 2 T-Max in the top 5. So Vince Carter, I think, is the 4th best shooting guard in the game, mainly just because of his rim running ability. Like, he feels absolutely unstoppable at going to the basket. Whether it's finishing through contact, whether it's getting and ones, like, he just dunks on everybody. He's got great dribble SIGs. He's got an amazing jump shot. He feels super quick on the court, and he's definitely a solid defender. And then to round off the top 5 best shooting guards in the game, at least in my opinion, at the number 5 spot is going to be the Dark Matter Tim Thomas, just all around a solid shooting guard in the game. Now, going over to the top 5 small forwards, I would say this might be pretty controversial. I think this list might be my most controversial top 5 between all of the positions. Bol I do have at the number 1 spot, and I think a lot of people maybe would agree with that. I don't like Chet. I will explain this here in a second. I just don't like that Chet card. I think he's really good. Like, I'm not getting it wrong, or don't get it wrong. Like, Chet is still an amazing small forward card, one of the best cards in the game. I just don't personally like him as much as a lot of other people do, and I've used him a bunch. I think he's a really good card. He's super effective. He's an amazing card in the game. But I think Giannis is better, and I know no one's going to agree with that, and that's perfectly fine. Just for me personally, using Giannis, I think he's a better card than Chet because of his defense, his size, his player model, because their jump shots, at least for me, isn't much of a difference. I don't like Chet's release. I don't think Giannis's jump shot is that much worse than Chet's for how many threes he'll be taking with the card, and Giannis is the much better defender because of his size, his stats, and his badges. His defensive tendencies are also basically maxed out. If you look at a card like Chet, he's still going to be an elite level defender, but he only weighs 195 pounds, 89 strength. He's going to have really good stats and badges for defense. His on-ball steal tendency could be a lot better, only at a 35. So I'm not saying that Giannis is a ton better than Chet. I'm just saying I think Giannis, for my play style and the way that I like to play the game at the small forward position, I think Giannis is slightly better than Chet just because of his size at the 3, his defense, his rim running ability. Like, I think he's so much better at attacking the basket than Chet. I think he's a much better defender in game. I think Chet just has the slightly better jump shot and moves a little bit better on the court, but very close. And I know a lot of people will go Chet at 2 and then maybe Giannis at 3. Just for me personally, I do think Giannis is a little bit better than Chet, but I still have Bol as the best best small forward in the game. At the number 3 spot, at the number 4 spot, I should say, I wasn't really sure who to put, KG or Zion, because I think these are the next two best small forwards in the game. Zion brings great offense, really good offensive small forward card, super explosive, really good at getting to the basket, and does have the better jump shot. But then KG's such a good defender. He's got more size at the 3. So I think I will put KG at number 4 and put Zion at number 5. But I think that one could honestly be flipped because Zion does bring great offense to the table. And yeah, these are going to be my top 5 best small forwards in the game. Now going on to the top 5 best power forwards. I mean, number 1 is going to be very obvious. I would say number 1 and number 2 are going to be pretty much a given, and that's going to be Myteam at number 1 and Taco Fall at number 2. Just two complete absolute giants. I mean, Myteam still the best card in the game, the most dominant, 7'7" at the power forward position, 8'5" wingspan, has one of the best player models in the game, and all around has great stats and badges. And then you look at a card like Taco, a guy that's going to be 7'6" at power forward, 8'2" wingspan, just like Myteam, has an elite level player model and still one of the best paint defenders in the game. And then at the number 3 and 4 spot, I think it really comes down to, are you looking for offense or are you looking for defense? Because I do have Kristaps at the number 3 spot, and I have Artis Gilmore at number 4. I think Artis is a much better defender. He's more athletic. He's got better stats and badges. On the defensive end, he's also 7'2" with a 7'5" wingspan. He's got the better player model. Like, if you're looking for defense at the power forward position, I think you 1000% go for Artis Gilmore. But if you're looking for offense, you want a guy that's going to be really good in the catch and shoot, a really good pick and pop power forward, then I do think you go for Kristaps. He's got the much better jump shot than Artis is. He's got more Hall of Fame shooting badges, a higher 3-ball, and I think he's just overall a better offensive card. So that one really comes down to preference. I will say Kristaps is a little bit better at power forward, but I do think Artis Gilmore is a little bit better at center because of his defense and player model. And then to round off the top 5 best power forwards in the game, in my opinion, I do think Dark Matter Alonzo Mourning is still super elite at the power forward position, even though he's a little bit undersized, only being 6'10". He does have a 7'6" wingspan and all around perfect stats and badges. Basically, his jump shot super knockdown. He's got great dribble sigs. He pretty much plays like a guarding game, and I think all around is the 5th best power forward currently in my team. But now going on to the last position, the top 5 best center cards, I do think at the number 1 spot and number 2 are going to be very obvious. Myteam at number 1, and I do think Yao Ming at number 2. I know a lot of people have said Rick Smith is better than Yao. I still think Yao is slightly better because of his size. I do like his jump shot a lot, but I haven't used Rick Smith too much. I've used Yao a lot more. So I think these are the top 2 best centers in the game. But at the number 3 spot, I think Rick Smith is a really close number 3 compared to a Yao Ming. I've heard a lot of people say that Rick Smith is better than Yao. So if you guys have tried out either of the cards, or just let me know your guys' opinions on that. Who do you guys think is the best center card currently in the game between Rick Smith and Yao Ming? I think Yao is still slightly better, but maybe the more and more that I use a Rick Smith card, maybe I'll put him a little bit over Yao. But Rick is another really good giant card. He's a great defender. His jump shot is super butter. So I do think he is definitely a top 3 center in the game. And then for the number 4 and the number 5 spot, I think once again, it really comes down to, are you looking for offense or are you looking for defense? And I think at the center position, you're looking for a little bit more defense. And I think Artis is slightly better, like I said, at the center position compared to Kristaps. But in my opinion, guys, these are going to be the top 5 cards at each position. So these are my top 5 point guards. These are my top 5 shooting guards, top 5 small forwards, top 5 power forwards, and then top 5 centers as well. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about my ranking? Let me know what you guys would change, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.